Right there, and I think we are live, so I need to make sure. I want to look on the page here, and it should be okay. I think we are there, and saw myself there for a second. Should be, come on. What do you think, AJ? You think we're live?
I think we're live. Welcome, everybody, to the ATN podcast. I'm your co-host, AJ Chabria. We've got a heck of a guest tonight. With me, as always, to my right, the great Craig Bell. You ready to get started?
Let's do it. James Scott Campbell, let's get the podcast started.
Hello, you are at the net. And welcome, friends, to another episode of the At the Net podcast, powered by Tex-Mex Productions. Working the soundboards in the back of the house are our producers, D-Mac and Dave the Brain. Time to say hello to your hosts, Craig Bell and AJ Chabria, as they're about to take us through 3 sets of tennis, talking life and all the news as it seems to them. Ladies and gentlemen, Craig Bell.
All right, thanks to our At the Net podcast girl, Margot Carter. That's the great Margot Carter, isn't it?
That's right.
All right, so this is a new one. You haven't heard this word.
I don't know the word of the day.
I'm going to try this, all right? So hopefully Ramona won't laugh at me. Necrezut. Necrezut. You know what that means?
What does it mean in Romanian?
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Is that correct? Did I get it?
Almost. You had it.
How do you pronounce it? And I'll try it.
Was it the Necrezut?
There you go. That's it. Necrezut.
Necrezut. Unbelievable.
I was listening to it phonetically a little earlier, so I thought, I want to see if that's close. My Romanian is not very good with the Oklahoma accent, but anyway, welcome fans of the great game. You're listening to season 1, episode 115. We're in the 115. We're pushing well over that 100 mark right there. ATN podcast with, on my left, AJ Chabria. Aren't you, AJ Chabria?
That's right. And to my right, the great Craig Bell. Always good hanging with you, buddy.
That's right. And we were talking the great game of tennis as it seems to us. Thanks also go out to our good amigos at Tex-Mex Productions. That will be one Darian D-Mac McBrayer, and we did have a brain sighting. Yep. He might even be watching us right now. Dave the Brain from back of the house. He's not on the soundboards. I'm on the soundboards right tonight.
You're producing and co-hosting. Okay. You're the man.
Well, I'm moving the dials and buttons to make us look like real people, right? We're not holograms, right?
We can't afford holograms yet.
Oh, not yet. Okay, yet. All right. We're almost in the metaverse, right?
As John Yandel said, he's like, I don't think you guys are there yet. Okay. But okay.
So also be sure to like and follow us on Facebook. Most of you are watching on Facebook right now, YouTube and Instagram. Plus, check out our good work on, here I go, take a deep breath. Fireside, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Anchor, Breaker, CastBox, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, and Spotify. I took it all in one breath.
Well done.
All the important communication sites the kids find popular today, right?
You bet.
Right, especially that kid right there. You think she's a kid, you know?
She is. She's a good one.
If you're female, sorry guys, and would like to read the opening intro like the great Margot Carter, it's going to be hard to knock her off the pedestal, isn't it? Yeah, she does a really good British accent. She makes it sound kind of classier, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Classes up the joint here on this thing. Let us know. You can hit AJ up, and he'll think about maybe putting you on as the opening intro
I'm going to need a Necrezut demo tape.
That's pretty good.
Looking forward to that.
Right. Did you even know that word? You probably didn't even know that word.
I probably heard it, but I didn't know what it meant. That's cool.
That's right. We always have a word of the night, Ramona. Yeah. So that's I always try to make it kind of personal to the guest we're having. So speaking of Necrezut, is that neck? I didn't get that. I got to get that. Our guest is certainly unbelievable. I'm going to say unbelievable. It's Ramona Husaru right there. Is that better? Is that better? Did I get it close? Right there? Okay, there you go. I like it right there. Welcome to the ATN podcast, Ramona. We've been looking forward to this for like 16 years, I think, haven't we?
At least 16
maybe
6 months.
16 months. Well, we were supposed to have her on in January, I believe, but she unfortunately got sick and is doing fine now and back to full health. And we're glad to have you be a part of the program tonight, Ramona. How are things down in Orlando?
Well, thanks so much for being here. Such a pleasure. Orlando's good. It's hot. The summer is starting, so no humidity yet, but I'm sure it's going to start pretty quick.
Well, I mean, you've lived in, let's see, so the last 3 places that you've lived have been fairly warmish, compared to probably Romania. So I'm thinking, like, we know you played tennis at BYU, Hawaii, so we're going to talk about that probably here in a second. Mm-hmm. You've lived in Houston. Now you lived in Orlando. So, you keep going further. Houston, see, Miami or Orlando, that would be fairly similar, wouldn't it, on the Is that longitude or latitude, whatever? Which
Yeah, I
one?
think latitude of Houston is similar to North Florida, yeah.
Right, something like that. So you've lived in some warm weather climate the last few years, let's say, right?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, Houston and Orlando, I would say, are very close as far as weather goes, very humid. They're both very close to the Gulf, so I think that's part of it. And yeah, I mean, I can't complain. I got used to it by now, so.
Oh, that's great.
Well, hopefully you're used to it by now. You better like it, right?
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah. Well, we're going to be asking some questions here later in the third set, so we'll kind of see if you really like it or whether you like, some other varieties in winter.
We'll get to some variety, but right now, first set, we got to kick it off. Ramona, you are education director at the entire USPTA, U.S. Professional Tennis Association, and that's not just U.S., that is international. Tell us how you got started in the great game back in Romania, and then we'll get into college tennis and how you've come upon this career.
Sure. Well, I started tennis when I was about 6.5, 7 years old. My father is a former professional Greco-Roman wrestler, and then he was a coach for many years. So he has been in the sports arena for many years. And at the time when I was about 7, he asked me if I wanted to try tennis, and I was like, sure, why not? Let's see what this sport is about. And I went on and took a few, group lessons, and just really for the first few months, I just explored the sport, just wanted to see what it is about. And next thing you know, there was a tournament, a local tournament there that I played in, and I made it to like the quarterfinals or semifinals. And my parents came to watch, and they were like, "Oh, I think you could play if you really wanted to." So from there, I started taking private lessons, and it just got a little more serious from there. But yeah, that's pretty much how I got started.
That's beautiful. I can imagine that first coach when you did those clinics saying the same thing I did when I first met you. I was like, "What a forehand on this girl! That is huge, huh?"
Well, I don't know if back then I had any skills of any kind, but I think it was primarily maybe just the foundation, maybe some footwork, some determination, probably more than anything. And then I started building from there. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely been a journey for many years.
We will get back to that word determination in a few minutes toward the end of the second set. But as we keep rolling in the first, tell us how you made it from those group lessons to elite junior. I assume you played European Cup and everything. So tell us how you made that journey with the determination and then to playing college tennis at the high levels over here in Hawaii.
Sure. So, like I said, after, kind of trying out the sport for a few months and just being around other kids and just kind of enjoying the social aspect of it, I started, taking some private lessons, working with a private coach. And I think the following year I made it to the quarterfinals or semifinals of the nationals. And that's when it really kind of kicked in, and we were like, okay, maybe I'm going to take it a little even more serious than I was, and starting investing in more practice and more hours on the court. And ever since then, it's been, the typical competitive junior journey from tournament to tournament, working my way up through the ranks, locally, nationally, and then European ETA ranking, ITF ranking. Yep. Represented Romania at the European Championships, and then college tennis, and then a little bit on the pro circuit. So I played a little bit of everything.
Yeah, a little bit of everything. And you were undefeated, if I recall, at the Brigham Young University at Hawaii. Is that right?
That's right. That's right.
How do you do that? Talk about determination. But first, let's get to how you were recruited all the way from Romania over to BYU Hawaii.
I actually knew 2 of the girls that were on the team, and I think that played a big role. And also, I was playing in Germany during summers for one of the local clubs there. And one of the girls that was belonging to that same club had played for Coach Porter. And I think it was a combination of both me knowing the 2 girls on the team already, plus the girl that was at the German club. They somehow passed the information along, and next thing I know, I get a call from Dave Porter, and he's saying that, he would love to have me on the team. And yeah, it was kind of surreal at the time because I wasn't really considering college tennis as a path. I still wanted to play pro, and, that was kind of like the goal that I had in mind ever since I was a child. And yeah, I made the decision to go, and yeah, I've been here for a long time.
That's great, Ramona. Ramona, when he called you, I assume it was this kind of phone call, or was it? Was there any Skype video at the time?
No, not at the time. No, we were old school with, I think I had a flip phone, and
yeah.
Like I said, it was kind of surreal because, all of a sudden you get a call and there's this American accent.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, okay, well, I think I even asked Coach if he could send a follow-up email just so I can have it in writing what he was offering and all that. So, yeah, it's been so long, but it's fun now to kind of go back to those memories and remember that event. It was pretty cool.
Oh, that is definitely cool. And the fact that it was a phone call, you weren't able to see the puka shells on Coach Porter at the time.
That's right. I think I did look him up and looked up the team and everybody. So, and then I got in touch with the girls that I already knew. So, it was easy from there.
Yeah.
And, as Europeans, the two girls that I knew were also from Europe. So we knew each other from juniors, and that definitely helped me a lot with understanding what the school was like and the atmosphere and really the quality of academics and the level of tennis that I was going to, because that was still a primary goal for me. I still wanted to play at a high level and maybe try the pro after.
Yeah. Dave Porter, my memory of him, of course, besides the puka shells, was the first time I met him was not the first time I'd met Fred Viancos, but we had a high-performance player thing at the USPTA headquarters in Houston. This is in the early 2000s, so this is a while ago. For me, Dave was a little bit ahead of his time because he was teaching recreational players to slide with the left foot into an open stance two-hander. And I remember thinking, as a one-hander, that is pretty cool and pretty new. And a lot of the coaches around me were like, what? What is this guy doing? Tell us your experience and how some of Coach Porter's coaching helped you improve in your late teens and early 20s.
Yeah, I mean, he was, like you said, definitely ahead of many, many things, always kind of a visionary and understanding the game very well from so many different aspects. I grew up on clay, red clay. We were taught to turn, step, and hit. But when I had played on hard court throughout Europe, and also I came to the U.S. to play orange ball, and on a number of occasions I had played on hard court. So, back home, I think I didn't really pay that much attention as far as the stance that I was using. But once I started playing more on hard courts, and then eventually when I played, when I came to college, he was emphasizing the movement and the recovery steps very much. And it really showed us exactly why the open stance was so important and how many steps we were gaining from using it. And it wasn't just something that he wanted us to do, but he wanted us to understand it and really use it because it would help us, not because he just said so. So yeah, definitely very powerful at the time. We're talking 16, 17 years ago.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Time flew, as we were saying before the show too. Well, CB, anything else for the first set before we move into the second?
Now, I was wondering, did you have some other opportunities to play besides BYU Hawaii? What was the reason why you chose BYU Hawaii, say maybe over, I'm sure you had several offers to go other places. Is that correct?
I did have a couple, but to be honest, at the time, like I said, I wasn't really looking into that much. I had several friends that had already received scholarships. So, once you have a friend that's at one of the schools already, it's pretty easy for them to say, hey, would you be interested in coming over here? But at the time, I wasn't really, I still had my mind as to, I really wanted to play pro, and college wasn't really something that I wanted to do. But eventually I kind of, looked into it more, considered my options, and I think the location, the fact that they were number one in the nation for many years, and the level of tennis was so high, and Coach Porter has such a good reputation, and I felt like he could help me, maybe advance to the next level, were definitely factors that I considered in making that decision. So I don't regret it at all.
Not at all. And then after those 4 years at BYU Hawaii, how was your transition into playing WTA futures and WTA events?
Well, I played before and after,
Yep.
and unfortunately, I got injured towards my senior year. I had a shoulder surgery that kind of threw out all my plans, and really it was actually a pretty tough transition, because I had all these dreams and aspirations and all the hard work that I had put in, that I felt like I still wanted to go out there and show what I can do. And as we know, with injuries, it's not easy at all. And I tried it for a little bit, but it didn't work out. I was having trouble serving. And it was the time when I really needed to make a decision, and I knew I wanted to stay in tennis. I just was no longer able to compete at the level that I wanted. So.
Did you, was the shoulder injury so bad that you needed surgery, or how did you end up fixing it to the point where you can play now and serve?
Well, I still struggle a little bit with, maybe just accelerating on the ball as much as I would like. But, it was an accumulation of many years of, practice and mat playing. And I had a tear in the rotator cuff and an impingement as well. And they needed to go in and fix that. So, it's one of those injuries that you need time to recover. And, I just couldn't get back to the level that I wanted to, and had to switch gears.
Yeah, good. Well,
which at some point I would have had to do anyway. So I think it was sooner than later.
Well, speaking of switching gears, let's go to the second set where we get to talk about current and future projects. Tell the folks at home what it means to be directing education at the U.S. Pro Tennis Association.
Well, I see it as a very unique experience, and I'm very excited about all the opportunities that we provide to the coaches that belong to the USPTA, and especially those that are eager to learn and learn and expand their knowledge on so many different topics, because we really try to offer education on topics that, as we know, the tennis world is so wide, and it has so many different avenues, right? Like, you could be coaching high performance players, you could be working at a country club, you could be working at a high school or a college level. There's so many different directions that our coaches, operate every day. And we try to provide education that fits all those needs. And of course, all the technology and all the modern, analytics that happen, and anything that happens within the business and the leadership side of it. So we really try to embrace all the different topics that are out there, and provide the educational opportunities that our coaches are asking for. And I'm always very open to suggestions, and any topics that I hear from members, I always try to put them out there, and because that's how we all learn from each other. And I feel like that's the strength of our organization. It's the membership, the coaches that come together and share ideas, learn from one each other, and that's what makes it stronger and unique.
Wonderful. As a board member of USPTA Texas, and I do sort of getting the speakers as education chair over here, I certainly appreciate how you can curate a wide mix, because as you said, the tennis world is quite broad. You mentioned different silos in tennis, and some people do actually all four of those things, So if I were to ask you, if you were putting together a conference, what types of speakers would you throw in the mix in today's world? Meaning, as things have changed so much with tennis seeing quite an uptick from the COVID years.
Yeah. So like I said, we try to, fit all these different topics and provide a well-rounded schedule as possible. So we try to focus on the physical aspect, the technical, the tactical, strategy, mental, the environment that you create at your club, programming, events, marketing, creating your brand, how to use technology to even deliver classes these days. We know that in many parts of the country, people went virtual and they started teaching some of their classes virtually. The adaptive part of it with wheelchair and inclusive coaching. You name it. We try to, like I said, to give everybody that comes together a segment, hopefully a segment that they're dealing with, so that can meet their needs. It's hard to do that, but we try our best.
Speaking of which, let's take just 10 seconds and plug. Craig and I have volunteered in some things for USPTA Adaptive and Wheelchair.
We have?
Yeah, and you've hosted some events here. But I wanted you to quickly plug something you're doing this coming Wednesday with our good friend Lisa Pugliese-Lacroix. That has to do with inclusive coaching. Tell us a little bit about that. That's sort of a concrete example of what you're doing literally this coming week.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we celebrate Autism Month, we have Lisa next Wednesday presenting on how to adapt your current instruction to make it a more inclusive environment, and really learning how to maybe some of the drills that we're already doing, but how can those be adapted and tailored to the people that we teach. And if we do have people with special needs in our programs, that we would know and understand the basic foundation of what it takes and how we can deliver that information accordingly. Because at the end of the day, we need to do more of that, right? So I think the more educated and well-rounded we are, the better the lessons that we teach are.
100%, yeah. Craig's got a nice comment from a very famous Hall of Fame tennis coach.
Yep.
What does it say from Ronnie?
Ron Woods, a.k.a. I call him the Lone Ranger. And he says, love that gal. That would be Ramona.
That would be you.
That's right. She does.
Hi, Ron.
Yes, she does a great job for USPTA. So what an endorsement right there. That's from the man himself, the man, the myth, the legend, Ron Woods. So he's down in Corpus Christi.
That's right. Yeah. So let's get to I want to get to your view of the future, not just your current projects, but your view of the future. What do you see happening in the world of tennis, or tennis instruction, or the education and methodology of tennis instruction?
Well, I think it's just going to continue to elevate and develop. We know that video has taken a lot of that these days. We see more and more instruction delivered through Instagram and YouTube and all the social media avenues that are out there. Many coaches are doing that, and that's also an aspect that we try to educate our current members how that particular segment can become an additional income to their existing programming, for example. So if they're just currently coaching, just the traditional way where you go to the court and teach a lesson or have a program, many players are interested in maybe, sending you videos for analysis, or you sending them tips every week, or just having a phone consultation based on a particular tournament that you have upcoming. There's so many, with COVID, I think technology has become such not that it wasn't before, but now it's even a more powerful tool that people need to leverage. And I think there's so much that they can do with it. But we still have some resistance from some of the people that are not as comfortable. But just like with anything, right? It's about trial and error, embracing it, and keep going, keep practicing until you get better. So I only see good things in the future.
For sure. Well, that was a good second set. And as we end the second set, we've got a few thoughts for you, Ramona. Like, let's start with why tennis as a profession.
Yeah, that's a great question. And that was a question that I asked myself when I stopped competing. Like I said, personally, it was a pretty challenging time. Some players transition from competition easier than others. For me, it was pretty challenging. I had worked my whole life for those goals, and although I had achieved pretty high results, they weren't the results that I wanted, and it was pretty tough to accept that, and I felt like I had so much more to give, and at that point, I started asking myself, what would I like to do, and how would I be able to kind of fulfill that flame that I still had, and luckily through coaching and just kind of being in contact with other players and understanding what I could do and kind of give back and maybe, fulfill some of the aspects that maybe I would have liked to have when I was playing from a coach. That kind of motivated me and kind of opened up this other part of my life where I feel like I have so much to give back. And through the USPTA, I was lucky enough to be exposed to so much and learn from so many different coaches. And I really feel like there's so much that we can do to impact others. And as we know, tennis is a sport that not just develops players physically, but it's about the emotional part, the mental part, the problem-solving part. It's the social aspect. Sometimes we create programs or events at our clubs that just brings people together, and it's about diversity and inclusion and sharing the love for the sport, regardless of your background and your beliefs. And I think if we kind of, as coaches, if we kind of clarify why are we in this business or what do you call it, job,
yeah.
What is it that we're doing? I think it becomes pretty clear after that. If you decide on the why, what is it that you're trying to achieve every day, then everything else, I feel like it falls into place pretty easily from there.
Yes, one of the things that you've written, and I know we all share this as tennis coaches, is how we can make a difference in others through coaching. Can you give us a couple of examples of either how you received that as a student or how you have given that kind of a feeling to people that you have coached?
Yeah, so, I guess I could start with maybe some of the lessons that I learned from maybe my dad. Like I said, my dad being a coach his whole life,
right,
obviously instilled this, discipline and determination in my schedule. And I carried that on with everything that I did from there. And, he really taught me that there was nothing that was going to be handed to me. If I wanted to be good, I needed to work for it, regardless of if it's tennis or any other avenue. And I think that really set the foundation for what it really took to get anywhere. If I wanted to become good, I needed to put in the work. Otherwise, it wasn't going to happen. And then from Coach Porter, for example, I would say, he's such a, like I said, such a well-rounded individual, and he's, a professor, and, all of us that have played for him, I think we got inspired and wanted to continue our education just because we were around him. But there were two quotes that I learned from him that stayed with me. And one of them is, if it is to be, it's up to me. And that's one of my favorite ones, because every time I have a tough situation and I try to blame on, the situation on the exterior or on anything outside of my control, I have to go back to myself and say, if I want this to happen, it's on me. I gotta find a way. And then the second quote from him is, he always emphasized the situation that we were in. For example, if we had a match, he would say, you have to play the card that is being dealt to you. There's just no other card. So if this is the card that was dealt to you, if this is the opponent that you're playing today, if these are the conditions that you're playing in today, if this is the situation that you're in, it is what it is, and you have to find a way to figure it out. There's just no, you can't get another card.
Yeah.
And those were some pretty important messages that, like I said, stayed with me from early on, and I really think that it helped me. And I tried to do the same with my players as well, whether they're high performance players or just, maybe they're playing leagues or just are there for the social environment, I try to obviously tailor the information based on their needs. And if they're just there for the social environment, I try to create that union and the fun atmosphere and give them some autonomy on the choice of drills or the activities that they do, or really just kind of listen to why they are there for that particular lesson and try to deliver on that. Because as we know with adults, they learn differently and they enjoy the activity differently, and you can't just be commanding them and telling them what to do. Most of the time adults want to be involved and they want to understand why they're there and why the activity is important, and also to give them some autonomy on the things that they're doing, and maybe select some of the topic of the lesson, or what is it that they want to work on. And many times I've had people come up to me and say, thank you so much for that opportunity, because we really don't enjoy when we're just being told what to do, and they expect us to just follow orders. We're not kids anymore. And I mean, that's just kind of my approach, but everybody's different, and as long as it works for your students, I think that's what matters.
That's wonderful. Ramona, even 12-year-old kids now don't want to be told what to do. So even they need some of that autonomy, and sometimes we use the word ownership. You must have, it's clear to me that you received the attitude of the mindset from your dad and Coach Porter and others, that, if I can use the word stoicism, the wisdom to control the controllables and understand that you can't control some things that are not controllable, like the hand you're dealt and things like this. How do you convey that level of mental strength and stoicism that may not exist in a student or a group that you might have in front of you?
Yeah, I mean, that happens quite often, right? And that's when you try to maybe go back to the basics and just lay the foundation and see also, ask questions, see where they're coming from, what is their perspective on things, and see how you can tailor the information to fit their own needs and see what makes them click. As we know, everybody's different. They have different personality traits, and not everybody responds the same way to the same information. So obviously it takes time when it comes to these things, and you just try to build one brick at a time and really try to see what do they respond best. But at the end of the day, if we're talking about high performance, there's only so much you can do for someone who doesn't want it, right? So you try to see if they want it, if their desire is actually their own, and then see what you can work from within that, and hopefully build and make them realize if there's like a bigger purpose as to why is it that they're playing. Is it just because of ranking? Is it just because of, college scholarship? Is it beyond that? Is it about the process? Is it about, what is it about? What's important to them? And once you find what's important to those particular individuals, I think that's kind of where you start and see what you can build in that direction so that it makes sense to them.
Strong stuff, Ramona. You really did a great job of tackling the mental and emotional side, both. I want to get to on the court and then maybe in the fitness center. What does it take to develop a really good player? I know one of the conversations we had over an email was about junior development or pathway to college and pro tennis, but if you'd like, you can also include an answer that might apply to recreational adult players.
Sure. So if we're talking, junior development, I would say obviously the primary thing is to we definitely want players to be well-rounded physically, right? We want them to be athletic. So there must be a strong foundation of athleticism there where they're, moving well, their agility is pretty up there. They can change direction quickly. They have coordination, all the things that are important just for the athleticism part, right? Just being a good athlete. And if you have that foundation, it's almost like you have your wheels that you could pretty much build on, right? If a player can move to the ball, the rest is pretty easy from there. You could have really good strokes and great form, but if you can't get to the ball, you're not going to hit it in the right spot. So for me, the physical aspect is like the primary foundation where like you're just laying that foundation and you start building on it. And then, of course, you want your technique to be, it doesn't have to look like the pros, but it has to be sound, right? Where there's just not many flaws where you are not able to execute a particular shot. You should, if your goals are to play at a high level, you want to be well-rounded. So you want to be able to hit top spin, you want to be able to hit through the ball, you want to be able to, have continental skills to drop shot, slice, overhead, serve. So really developing that well-rounded player, in my opinion, is a key because as we know, there's so many players that emphasize that winning early on when they're like 12, 13, and once they get to 16, 17, they can win a match. So it's most often than not, it's because of the way they develop their game that doesn't translate over into the later stages. And I that's why I think that, when you're working with players, you try to develop them as much well-rounded as possible. And as a coach, I think sometimes that's pretty challenging as well, because as we know, we tend, especially at the beginning, we tend to teach the way we were taught, right? And if, for example, if I'm a two-handed backhand player and I have a player that's a one-handed, I might maybe try to change them to a two-handed. And, sometimes you have to try to look outside of yourself and see, is this really necessary? Is this change really necessary? You should probably try to see if there's a way to meet them where they are and see how you can build on those strengths and not necessarily make changes just because it's not something that you're comfortable with. If the student is comfortable with it, I think that's what matters. And I think that applies to recreational players as well. So I know it was a pretty long question, and I don't know if I met half of it.
You nailed it, and I appreciate that you took the two-part question and included the recreational players as well. I wanted to just follow up a little bit. I loved a phrase that you use that I often think of a lot is continental skills, i.e. low volleys, slicing either side, serving, overhead smash. Not everything is negotiable. Sometimes I don't even want to use the word non-negotiables, but what are some things that you very strongly almost insist upon? And it may just be continental skills, but what are some of those elements of technique that you really strongly suggest in any level? And again, you are free to talk about recreational players, club players, whatever, or elite juniors.
Well, I mean, like I said, I think it depends on the type of player and their goals, right? So if the goals are big, you obviously want to have as many tools as you can. You obviously want to have at least the basic of being able to put the ball back and keep the ball in play, and hopefully maybe end some points, right? Good. And then if you, want to prioritize that, make the slice and the drop shots and all the other soft skills as a second priority. I see some people doing that, but I think it's if they're being taught the same way, like with equal importance, that's the foundation that you set for players. Because every shot is important and one is not more important than the other. And yes, of course, you want to keep working on your strengths. And, if you're serving, your forehand are your strengths, you want to keep building on those. But at the same time, I wouldn't neglect the other strokes just so that, just because we're not enjoying them or they're not as much fun to work with. But again, it goes back to the goals. If the goals are just to play league and just to get out there and play, if you're just playing doubles, for example, maybe serve, poaching, volleys, all these things would be primary. But when I teach, I kind of embrace the full method either way. So I try to get buy-in from the students either way.
That's wonderful. Ramona, speaking of you teaching, how often, of course I've seen you at conferences and things, but how often do you get down there and teach locals how to play tennis?
Right now, I'm only working with a couple players, just kind of on a private basis, primarily focusing on the mental side. I enjoy that a lot. I used to coach much more back in Houston, where I was working closely with a high school team and with some of the competitive juniors that wanted to play college tennis, and some of them went on to play pro circuit a little bit. So I did much more of that there. But here, my schedule is just so busy, and as I'm continuing my studies as well, it makes it really hard to do a little bit of everything. But that's definitely something I want to get back to, because I enjoy both. I enjoy doing, putting on the courses and talking to people and kind of going over the different career opportunities that they have, but also being able to have that direct connection with the player, where I can really feel like they're, I'm making a difference in their own life.
I love that you're in touch and on the court sometimes too,
Yeah.
even if it's just occasional and on a private. I should just a little tooting of the horn for this guy next to me. He coaches a little bit of high school tennis sometimes too.
Every once in a while.
You are such a mensch for doing that. And
it's fun.
I've seen you out there with the kids. Wonderful.
I saw a couple of today. We had junior team tennis out, USTA junior team tennis, and a couple of kids that played on my junior varsity team were on the another USTA team. It was fun. They came in, hey coach.
Yeah.
And so I enjoy all levels of play. It doesn't really matter whether it's high level, middle level, lower level, adults, kids.
And I'm sure they can hardly believe that they've got a guy your level coaching JV, high school. And it's just such an opportunity.
They just think I'm some doofus that you're probably just, where'd they find this guy?
They haven't seen you serve yet.
Oh, well, it's a lot of fun, and I enjoy it for all the reasons that Ramona's been talking about. I was really impressed with what she has to say, and it sparked a thought here. I know you have a master's in sports psychology. What'd you do your thesis on? I'm trying to sit there and figure this out as you've been talking. I'm like, boy, there were a bunch of different options you could have gone on your thesis. What'd you write that on, just out of curiosity?
It was on the impact of stress and how stress influences athletes and their injuries. So the impact that stress has on injuries. And as we know, the mind-body connection is very strong, and the ability of a person's ability to manage stress and cope with that can go a long way, or it can break a player. And it's a very complex topic. Obviously, there's been a lot of research done since, and I continue to try to stay up with it. And we just need to, overall, I think we just need to learn more about the different correlations that exist between, the mind and the body, and how we can help them work well together and manage our energy, manage our stress, and building on the capabilities so that we have less stress and we feel like we have the ability to overcome those challenging situations.
How many pages was your thesis, just out of curiosity as well?
I would have to go back, but it was a long book.
Big, thick one like that, yeah? Like the phone book?
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm just impressed that she has continued and remembers the topic of her thesis. Most of us kind of forget what that was. In my case, back in the 90s. Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, I am now on my next journey, so I will look forward to that as well, to writing another book. So
that's actually one of the things, as we wind down to the second set, we talk about future projects. Tell us what kind of book you would write if you were writing a book.
Well, I'm actually doing my PhD right now, so I'm continuing my studies, and I'm still going to do a study within tennis players and managing anxiety and managing all the stress that comes with all the results. But I don't want to talk too much about the topics that I'll be studying. But I'm definitely very passionate about understanding the human mind and understanding how everything works together and the best ways that I can help players and coaches, work with their own players, and for the players, manage their own challenges on the tennis court, because that's something I wish I had when I was a player. I feel like that could have made a huge difference in my life. And I think that's kind of the fire that keeps me going. And I'm always eager to learn. I'm always like a sponge.
Ramona,
I very much enjoy that.
Massive respect for the clear passion you have about human performance, always learning, being a lifelong learner for forever, really, and becoming the best we can all be, not just people in front of you, but all of us, so thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, one day I hope to be like her.
Yes, when we grow up,
When
Craig.
we grow up,
Yeah.
maybe we'll be like.
I don't know
Ramona.
about that, but
if we're
I
so
appreciate
lucky.
it.
Well, anything else in the second, or should we grow?
Well, I wanted to ask her one other question.
Oh, yes, good.
I'm still thinking here.
Good.
I've got a lot of. I'm in a inquisitive mindset
like it.
tonight. I'm interested in your Tennis Channel on court with USPTA, because I know you did that roughly for about 10 years. Is that correct?
Yeah, slightly maybe under 10.
Okay.
The show aired on the Tennis Channel for maybe over 10 years.
Right.
I was in charge of the production for probably 9 years or so. And that's where I really had the opportunity to work with so many coaches that came on our show and, kind of basically got to learn their method and their approach to a certain stroke or depending on what the topic was. And I was so grateful when during those times, because I was still kind of like trying to figure out, which way I wanted to go. Was it more on the technical side? Was it more on the tactics side? And, with time, I figured out that mental was really my area. But I had so much, I'm so grateful for all those opportunities because, like I said, I work closely with, Rick Macy, Emilio Sanchez, Mark Bay, you name it. Chandler Rubin came on our show, Hank Pfister. We had so many wonderful guests. And like I said, I was a sponge this whole time where I really tried to learn from everybody, just their way of explaining things because, if you think about it, the foundation is the same, but everybody has a different style and a different approach to teaching something. And I think that's what makes us really strong if we keep an open mind and try to not just think that we know everything, but that you keep on growing and, hear what this other person has to say, hear how this other person does it and why does it work for them? Why are some coaches more successful than others? And I think that's how you keep growing and you keep that fire alive because you decide what is it that you want to do. And that's kind of how it worked out for me.
So follow up on that. How many episodes did you do? How many episodes do you think you did in roughly that 9-10 year mark?
Yeah, that's a good question. I want to say probably like 55, maybe
55.
60.
Wow.
Yeah, I want to say that sounds about right. Yeah, because we did about maybe 8 to 10 a year. I think. I don't want to, but I think that sounds about right. So definitely a lot.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people think we're just pretty faces, but we do ask substantial questions from time to time. So I just wanted to let you all know that out there in the viewing public. But also too, do you recall any tips that might stand out that you might pass on from on court with USPTA? There's one that stands out maybe from out of those 55 or 60 that you recall that was very interesting, maybe on the mental side, possibly?
On the mental side, we did a couple with Jim Lear. So Jim Lear is one of my favorites. I read all his books, so I could probably quote many of them. But we had an episode with Jim Lear, and he covered the power of story.
Yes.
And that was such a powerful episode because, it talked about how, going back to the controllables and not controllables, right? So focusing on the controllables and how we can basically change our lives if we really want to. And if we decide that we want to do that, we can simply just make that decision, decide where we want to go and how we want to change it, and take one step at a time to rewrite our stories and go in that direction. But you have to be honest to yourself and you have to keep yourself accountable because you can't be expecting to go somewhere really far if you're not willing to put in the work. So for me, that was very powerful from his work, that if we wanted to change our story, we really needed to put in the work. So that was a great experience with Jim Lear.
Yeah, he's the master of the mental mindset.
Yeah.
I loved everything he did. I've read a lot of his stuff as well. The 16-second cure. I still use some of that out there on the court. Some of the old school stuff is still, for me, is still works and it's still relevant. I know some people think it's a little old school, but hey, I'm an old guy, so.
And that wasn't even that old. That was like late
old.
90s. Yeah, Jim Larry. Yeah.
No, I like that. So, last question about the Encore with USPTA. Can you still find episodes out there? Can you go to USPTA.com? Can you find it on YouTube, Facebook?
You can actually find most of them on tennisresources.com, which is our online library. We also have DVDs that are still available for those that want them through our Pro Shop. So just visit the USPTA Pro Shop and you can search by topic or by presenter's name, or you can give me a call and I can walk you through the steps on what topics you want to find. But yeah, they're still available, and I wish we would go back to redoing, not redoing, but continue those. We are doing some of that in the form of courses now, and they're no longer on the tennis channel, but we use them on our library, and they're available to our current coaches. So.
No, I thought they were great. Unfortunately, they came on at about 5 a.m. Every once in a while, I'm an old guy, up and around, and I did watch them. I thought they were great.
I loved them.
It's a lot of them, but the content was absolutely great and brilliant. I think that I wish we could get back on Tennis Channel a little bit. Do you think there might be a possibility of USPTA and Tennis Channels, doing a little partnership collaboration at some point again?
I mean, that's always a possibility. We still work closely with them. We have some commercials that that go on Tennis Channel. Certain projects that we still work together on. But yeah, who knows what the future holds? Maybe we'll go back to doing something similar, just maybe in a different format. But yeah, we'll definitely look to consider that opportunity.
Yeah, I thought those were awesome. Like I said, they weren't on at 5 a.m. I mean, they were definitely on at other times. I was just joking.
Well,
about
we would get multiple replays. So I think they played them like 6 or 8 times throughout the day or something.
They did. I was just joking about that because it was funny. I just thought it was kind of funny because I did see it one time. I was up, unfortunately, an old guy. He had up early one morning and just didn't go to, couldn't go to sleep. And I'm always watching Tennis Channel. So, so I did catch a couple episodes then at that particular point in time. So, but good stuff right there. So, what do you think?
Strong. Ramona, you mentioned if people want to call you, how do they get hold of you with email? USPTA, of course, .com. But tell the folks at home how they could grab you for educational opportunities.
Sure. I mean, easy, like you said, if they want to check out our website, USPTA.com. If you'd like to email me directly, it's Ramona.Husaru@USPTA.org. I'm pretty good with responding to emails right away. So if you have questions, feel free to reach out, and you can also call our main number and get a hold of me there. So always open to new ideas, future collaborations with anyone that wants to give back to the sport, and any future ideas for conferences or events. We're always open to that because we do try to, like I said, work together with our members to provide the best coaching experience that we can.
And you do, so thank you for that. Craig Bell, time for the third set.
Time for the third set.
Who are we rolling with? Who's the sponsor besides the USPTA?
Yeah. He wore his USPTA Texas hat. I left mine in the car. I had it on yesterday, actually.
That's right. For a little
bit of time, and then had it on the day before, and then tonight I went with the At the Net podcast hat. But it was good that AJ has his USPTA Texas. So we do love the USPTA. We're both members and both on the Texas board. Saw Ramona at the executive committee meeting a couple of weeks ago down in the Big O.
Florida, yeah.
Right. It was a lot of fun. It's good seeing everybody in person again. I mean, it's nice to see you on the Zoom, but it's nicer to see Ramona in person down there along with about 65 to 70 other professionals down there in the Big O.
Yeah, that sounds about right. It was the first time we got together since the pandemic, so it was very, very exciting. And, this whole pandemic changed everything. But at the same time, it provided some new opportunities and opened some new doors. And we try to look at, if you look back, at least I tried to look back at the positives. So, but it was nice to see everybody back in person and being together, collaborating and sharing experiences for sure.
Yeah, I know it was a tough 2 years, but you have navigated and opened those doors with a lot of agility and of course, caution also.
Sure.
But thank you for getting things rolling again. That's well done.
Yeah,
Thanks. And you too. I mean, Texas has done a lot, and you guys always do a good job. Your events are so well attended and organized, and really, really good job.
Yeah, we have a good group. I wanted to make a mention to one of our late members, former members, Paul Christian.
Paul Christian,
PC,
yes.
Former past president of USPTA Texas Tennis Hall of Famer. Unfortunately, is at the court in the sky these days, and as of yesterday. So shout out to Paul Christian. He gave me my USPTA test back in 1985,
really?
Along with the great Kenny McAllister.
Yeah,
they're up in Oklahoma City. They rued the day that they had passed me through this gate. You know, it's like, oh, we shouldn't have let you in that door. You know.
Oh, you know, that's actually a funny question. If I may go off on a little tangent, you were tested by Paul Christian.
Yep.
Ramona, you were tested in the USPTA by whom?
Both by Dave Porter and by Tom Ingram.
Oh,
really?
Tommy Ingram,
Yeah.
who we
Actually,
saw
Tommy,
Yeah.
Yeah, Tom played a major role in, my development as a tester. I shadowed him for many tests and kind of worked with him to kind of, when I became a tester, to kind of understand how everything works. And he was wonderful to work with. And I'd like to say hi to him if he's watching.
Well,
I'm going to rewatch this. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, he's great.
Well, Craig and I saw him yesterday at the campus where Paul Christian applied his craft, 1959 through 63 at Texas Christian in Fort Worth. We were just there yesterday, and I was actually there today. And my tester, I'll round it out, George Basho.
Oh, really?
Bit of a legend there, too, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Man. We were tested all by legendary.
Legends, all three, yeah. And you with your own coach besides Tommy Ingram.
Did he make it tough? Yeah. Did Dave make it tougher on you because he knew you?
Yeah, for sure.
Of course.
Not that he knew me, but, if anyone that watches knows Coach Porter, his bar is very high.
Yeah, for
regardless of who you are. So I think when I first tested with him, I don't think I went beyond, I don't know if I got a P2 at the time, or I don't know, maybe a P3 on the group lesson, or I don't remember, but he definitely, didn't whether we were his students or anyone, we were the same.
Yeah.
It didn't matter to him. And he had the same standard as a professor. He's a professor, teaches classes, and if any of us would take classes from him, he would treat us all the same in practice. It didn't matter if you were playing number 1, number 6, or number 7. If you were late to practice, it was the same. Everybody was going to run several laps just because one of us was late. So there's just no negotiables with him. And I think that's kind of why it stayed with us all this time, because you set some foundation, and you understand that if you want to do something, you got to be serious about it. And personally, I appreciate that very much.
Yeah, there's no I in team, on
None.
that. Yeah, when he make everybody runs that, I wasn't ever late, but I was always just kind of pushing the envelope right there at on time. And I'm sure if our coach wasn't like Coach Porter so much, we didn't have to run if somebody didn't show up on time. So, but I do like that standard, because that really does set the precedence high and makes accountability to everybody that is around. Like, hey, come on, we take this seriously, and we want to work hard when we work hard, and you better get your act together, and on time. So. But we're ready for the third set?
Time for the third. We mentioned USPTA as a sponsor. Let's also mention Master Systems, the great Blair Descaret.
Yes, the great Blair Descaret, who does all sorts of stuff out there in the tennis world, like surfacing courts, doing nets, you name it, Blair does it. Look at Master Systems with the great Blair Descaret. He might even come down to Orlando, maybe do something down in Orlando way if Ramona needs him to come down.
He will. They've got 100-something courts there, so yeah.
Right next door, to the headquarters.
And our third sponsor.
Oh, yeah, Topo Chico. Yeah, we do drink.
We have We've just recently inked a heavy deal with this beverage company.
We did, yeah. And USPTA Texas also, too.
Yeah, that too.
All right, Ramona. All right, so we're going to do 3 sets in the third segment also, too, because we do three sets. We've already done 2 sets or segments tonight. So this one we'll start off with a little music. I know you said you like music. First band you saw in concert. Are you a band person? Concert, that kind of thing?
That's a good question. I'm gonna have to remember what my first concert was. I don't think it was a band. I think it was Justin Timberlake.
Oh,
really?
JT. Wow, interesting.
But that wasn't until later. I think I was probably close to 19, 20 or something. Yeah.
I thought you might say Backstreet Boys or, somebody like that.
No. I mean, I was not at the time when I was in high school. Romania was still, it wasn't that easy to get bands and groups into the country to perform like it is now. So if anything, it was easier for us if we wanted to go somewhere. But I think that was my first concert.
So were you like a Euro techno band person,
electronic music.
Electronic music, yeah. Do you like the electronic, like a lot of like the stereotypical Europeans? We think of them liking that electronic music. So were you into that too?
I do. I still like it. Yes.
Do you really? Okay.
I don't like the heavy stuff, but I do like the more melodic electronic music. Yeah.
I can see her dancing, cutting the rug.
Of course.
Down there at the Big O, probably hanging out at the local dance places. I can see that. She didn't invite us out there, when we were down there.
When you were just there?
She just said she just slipped away, and didn't see her till next morning. So I assume she's probably doing something like that. Who's your favorite band? Who do you like right now besides Justin Timberlake?
I mean, I have several artists that I like. It really kind of depends on my mood. I like artists with like really strong voices, like Adele and Alicia Keys and Mark Anthony. Anyone that has like a really powerful, strong voice, and if their lyrics are also pretty meaningful, I really like that kind of stuff.
Well, now that you're down in Florida, you got to like country and western, don't you?
I mean, more than anything, we had in Texas.
Right there, I know. Yeah,
I did like some of the country music there, but never got big into the concerts. But I used to go to the rodeo in Houston.
Oh, that's legendary.
Pretty much every year. So we got to see some of the major artists there. I think I saw Blake Shelton one time and Miranda. I can't remember.
Lambert.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. So. I mean, if they're on the radio, I would listen to them. But if I were to purchase and build my own playlist, I would probably have like a song or two from the countryside.
So I got to ask you, did you go over to Pasadena to Gillies? Did you ever make it over there to Gillies? That's a legendary country honky tonk.
They play both kind of music there,
country and western, and country western. Did you ever make it to Gillies? Just out of curiosity.
I did not.
No, okay.
I did not.
You probably never heard about Gillies, did you?
Yeah, I can't say that it rings a bell.
Yeah,
no.
okay. There's a famous, what was the one with Richard Gere? Was it Richard Gere? Or no, back in the late 70s, there was a movie. I'll think of it here in a second. Urban Cowboy. Urban Cowboy. Look at that. This guy, he's sharp. I'm telling you, he's not just another pretty face. Did you ever see Urban Cowboy?
I did not.
Okay, you'll have to watch that. You have to bring that up on the old Netflix and watch that. It's a country movie, and it took place basically kind of in Gillies and Houston in the Pasadena area. So it's a stereotypical country and western type show. So if you like country and western, you might like the movie. Actually, it's a pretty decent movie. It's kind of a
holds up.
Yeah, it holds up pretty well.
Yeah.
I've seen it a time or two since then. But all right, so I always like to ask this question of people because I think it talks about the personalities. All right, and since she's being a master's in sports psychology, this would probably fit right into that thought process. So if you're in a band, I don't know, you might be in a band. AJ sings. I play the glockenspiel. What would you play in the band? Would you be the lead singer? Would you be the bass player, lead guitarist, drummer, piano player? Where's Ramona sitting in the band?
Good question. I don't play any instruments. I do like piano and saxophone. If I were to play one, it would probably be one of those, or maybe guitar. But yeah, I tend to be more towards the lead.
Yeah,
that's what I was going to say. Adele, Alicia Keys. I could see Ramona out there.
Strong voice. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, she has a strong voice.
Well, I have to confess that when I was in high school, I was a big fan of hip hop, like classic hip hop.
Yes.
So I used to write my own lyrics, and I was very much into that.
I still write my own lyrics for 90s hip hop.
Oh, yeah. 90s. Oh, I didn't.
I'm not.
Yeah, really? Like old school hip hop.
Yeah, that's right.
The one that actually had meaning,
That's right, rather than the mumble rap of today.
Do mumble rap hip hop? Yeah, is there mumble rap hip hop?
They kind of call it mumble rap these days.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you remember any hip hops that you've written? Do you remember a lyric or two? Is there anything?
No, I don't. No. Plus, if anything, they would be in Romanian. So.
Yeah, right. See, she's going to blow us off. She has stuff, but it's in Romanian. We've heard that before. All right. Well, that's funny. Yeah, because I always like to ask that question because I think it really says a lot about people's personalities. So we've had a few people who said, "Hey, I'd like to be lead singer," you know, and then we've had a few people, drummer, maybe somebody that plays lead guitar, because there is a personality kind of test, in that particular type of where you sit in the band,
I would say 60-something% of our guests have wanted to be the lead singer like you.
Mm-hmm.
Only if I would be talented. Otherwise, I would not go out there. I would probably hide in the back somewhere.
So are you a lead singer that's going to jump around the stage a lot and do a bunch of, acrobatics, aerials, or are you more the subdued, kind of behind the piano like Alicia Keys, that kind of person?
Yeah, more like, strong voice, meaningful words, powerful message. That's kind of my thing.
Okay. You're not Joan Jett and the Blackhearts or, that kind of scene. Joan Jett,
hard rock,
punk. It has the spiked hair. All that.
I love it.
No, I don't think Ramona's like that. Do you?
I think she could be.
She could be. Yeah. Well, she said she likes hip hop. I could see her hip hopping around on stage, couldn't you?
Oh yeah.
Hopping around. That's funny.
All right. Second part of we're going down to the second set now.
Yeah.
All right. First paid job. Did Ramona have a paper route over in Romania? Did you throw papers, like the Romanian Times out there to the folks in the neighborhood? No. Do you remember your first job?
I helped my dad with his business a little bit, and then I coached. So I would say those were my first two paid jobs, small jobs.
Yeah, but coaching young people in tennis or wrestling.
Oh, no wrestling.
No wrestling.
No, I just know the basics of it. My dad actually he transitioned from sports into business, so I helped him with his business a little bit, just the basic stuff, but some of the coaching. And then, one thing led to another, and,
Yep. Yeah, well, we just had a comment. John Travolta was in Urban Cowboy.
Yeah,
so Rick Eckloff, who's listening right now, gave us the update. So appreciate Rick Eckloff letting me know. John Travolta, you remember John Travolta?
Yep.
Okay, yeah. So he was one of the lead actors in Urban Cowboy.
That was right after he was Vinnie Barbarino on Welcome Back, Kotter.
Mr. Kotter.
But well before Pulp Fiction as Vincent Vega.
Right. So and well before Ramona was born, probably.
That's right. That's right.
So she might have to go back and watch the reruns of all this stuff. So
all this.
And in Oklahoma, we call it wrestling instead of wrestling.
Yeah, wrestling.
It's wrestling up there north of the Red River. We call it wrestling.
Even Greco-Roman, y'all call it wrestling.
It's wrestling. Man, that's a wrestling right there. Favorite movie, TV show? What do you like to watch?
I don't have that much time these days to watch too many of them. Every now and then I would tune in. I liked King Richard, the movie that came out recently with the Williams family. I thought that was pretty good. I watched a little bit of, it's been around for a few years. It's called Hannah on Amazon Prime. It's a TV show, so I watched a little bit of that. But I don't have, unfortunately right now, it's kind of a challenging time to have too much time for, following a TV series, but I try to get on every now and then to at least watch an episode here and there.
So is there any Romanian content out there? Do you watch, any TV shows? Have you ever, I guess is there a Romanian Hollywood maybe? Is there some place where they do filming, or
it's got to be Bucharest Wood.
Bucharest Wood. Is that kind of like Bollywood?
Constanța Wood. It's got to be something cool.
Well, I don't think they have anything, at least not since I left. I know that now with Netflix, they've opened more opportunities for, creating movies, and actually the actors have more of a future in that regard, because I think before it was more towards theater that they had to focus. There weren't a lot of movies being made. But no, I don't have any Romanian TV shows that I watch. And I don't think there are any on Netflix, to be honest. So So kind of dry on this part. I do like some of the classical sports movies, though. But
I'm sure.
Like what?
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, Caddyshack. You like Caddyshack? That's a classical sports movie.
yeah, like Coach Carter.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah,
yes, so good, Coach Carter.
Rudy.
Hoosiers. You like Hoosiers, the basketball?
Yeah, I
movie?
watched that. I think I watched that when I was in college. Coach Porter recommended it. Gladiators, another one, not sports related, but that's a good one.
I bet you like He Got Game because it's sports and hip hop in the same 2 hours.
Yeah, I mean, I did watch some of the documentaries over the years with different people.
Yeah.
I like the life stories of people. I also heard there's a really good documentary about Michael Jordan, but I haven't had a chance to watch that.
Yeah, it's called The Last Dance, and we haven't seen it either because it was only on Sunday nights. So us and our biggest fans have never seen it. We just got to now. You can just queue it up on a Monday morning or whenever you feel like it. So I'm sure I'll do that. That's interesting.
Goodwill Hunting is another one.
Oh, that was fantastic. Yeah, that was like 1998. Yeah, Oscar winner in '98. Yeah,
it was a good movie. I remember watching that. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. What do you like, breakfast, lunch, or dinner?
I like brunch.
Brunch. Oh, a late person who
Like
likes
on
to
the
get late.
weekends.
Yeah.
On the weekends, I like brunch a lot. Yeah. If I were to pick breakfast, would definitely be my favorite. Get to eat what I want, and the pancakes and a mix of everything. Definitely like breakfast.
You know why she likes brunch, don't you?
Tell it.
Because she's getting up late after going out dancing, all night.
in Orlando.
Right. She does all that hip hop dancing, so she comes in late, and then now all of a sudden she's eating brunch. She misses breakfast, So it's a brunch deal, right? See, I'm outing you. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
I just have.
Maybe when I was in my 20s, yes, but now I'm a little bit older, so I don't really make that a priority anymore.
That was a quintessential Craig, Uncle Craig.
Uncle Craig. Yeah, they call me Uncle CB on our Brothers at the Net podcast. We do Brothers on Tennis, which are a couple of guys out of California, Bryce and Isaac. Shout out to those guys. So we've started collabing with those guys a couple of times now. So I have a new character called Uncle Craig or Uncle CB. So.
So funny.
All right, favorite junk food. What do you like to eat, junk food wise? I'm interested to see what your junk food is.
I don't. I like. I try to eat pretty healthy, so I don't eat a lot of junk food. I love desserts, though.
Oh, really?
Desserts is my weakness. Yeah, pastries and desserts. Cheesecake is my favorite. All kinds of pastries. I also like to bake, so I bake my own over the weekend.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
Yeah, very much into that. Not so much into the junk like hamburgers or French fries, or I would do pizza every now and then. But yeah, more on the sweet side. Desserts any time.
Really? Is there a Romanian dessert that you make that is pretty good? Do you think? I'm trying to think.
I mean they're all very good in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, tell us one.
I just love desserts. So I actually made it for before Easter. We had it's like a cheese pie with filo dough, and there's just cheese in between the filo dough, and it's wonderful.
The times I was in Romania, I remember you guys love fruits, nuts, like sour cherries, and then I drank something called vicinata. Is that I'm pronouncing it okay? And that was unbelievable. That was so good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very sour, but also sweet, but also a little alcoholic, and that would be a cheat day thing for sure.
Yeah, it's Craig. It's made out of sour cherries, and it's basically like AJ said. It's sour, but I think it has sugar in it, and then some alcohol. So it's a combination, and it's very strong. You only have like a little glass.
Oh, that's what I did wrong. That's what happened.
Yeah,
that's why I played so well the next day.
That's right. You drank one of these, right? Yeah.
I played beautifully. So creative. I was Nastasi the next day.
Right.
It's crazy.
they served you into the American glass.
Right.
American guy. We'll give him a.
Oh, yeah.
We'll give him a pint.
Right,
Yeah,
right. Give him the grande. Yeah.
That's funny. That's funny. Yeah, that's pretty common.
Yeah, to the first timer. So you learn after that, right? Yeah.
This is delicious. Yes, I'll have another. Yes.
Yeah, this goes down really smooth. Yeah.
I'll have another.
All right. Speaking of food, all right, we always like to ask this question. This is one of our standard questions. Some dinner guests that you would invite maybe to your house or someplace that you would like to get maybe 4 or more dinner guests. You know, AJ No, we invited, obviously. And then, so it can be anybody, from the start of time all the way, forward. It could be somebody in movies. It could be somebody in the metaverse.
Yeah, metaverse, literary characters.
Yeah.
Dinner for 4.
Right.
And who you having over?
Right. Who we having over to join us in the convivial conversation?
That's a really good question. I haven't thought about that in a long time. I think I had this conversation with a friend many years ago, but it's been a while that I've thought about this topic. So yeah, that's a good question. I would definitely say Roger Federer and Rafa and probably Djokovic. And that only leaves room for one.
Well, you can have as many as you want. We don't. Yeah. It's your party.
Kim Clijsters, I think.
Oh, love Kimmy.
Yeah, that would be a good one. I would love to have a chat with her and just kind of pick her brain and about her career and her life and everything.
Maybe she and Djokovic could, before having dinner, maybe they could see who's more flexible sliding into a shot or something.
That's right.
Yeah, Clijsters can do the splits.
Unbelievable, yeah.
It's amazing how far, even Joker. I mean, that's.
Yeah, both of them.
Yeah. So a couple other people? Any other folks that may be out there?
Yeah, how about somebody from outside the sport of the great game of tennis?
Maybe I would have loved to get to know Kobe Bryant.
Oh, yes.
I got to meet him one time at a basketball game. One of my friends, she worked for them. So just briefly introduced, had a small talk. But I watched a lot of his interviews, and he just seemed such a knowledgeable individual on so many different levels, like a deep understanding about life. And he talked about the challenges that he had as a player, and how he moved on to, I think when he was younger, he lived in Europe for a while, in Italy, played in Italy and spent there some time. And, I kind of found myself in his story because, when I moved here, it's not like I knew a lot of people either. So just kind of him going through that experience and, how it felt to not know the language very well, and kind of accustoming to the different culture and understanding the tradition and the habits that people have, which was very similar to me. So, yeah, I think it's unfortunate what happened to him, but, it makes you think twice about every single moment that we have and what to do with it. So definitely a special person.
So at this soiree or party, hoedown, what shindig, what are you serving? What are we having for dinner? Just out of curiosity. We having a large Romanian festival?
Kimmy, Kobe, Novak.
Yeah, I know. What do we eat?
Rafa, Roger.
That's a good question. See, it didn't even cross my mind.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would definitely want to cook some Romanian food and have them try it and get some opinion and feedback on it. I love Italian food, so maybe some of that as well. Some appetizers.
I'm sure Kobe can help you cook some of that, having grown up over there.
And then definitely a good dessert, like a cheesecake,
there we go.
Cheesecake or something, and or a tiramisu or something like that.
Yeah. Ooh, man, I'm ready.
I'm ready.
So we heading down? We're heading down tomorrow, right?
Well, Rafa is going anyway, no?
Right.
I'm going to go. I'm going to have a good time with Ramona, no? I'm going to ask her for Vicinata. It's going to be great, no? Ramona, thank you very much.
That's perfect. Your accent is spot on.
Well, Novak, are you coming too? She said Novak,
both on the court and off the court, Craig, I have a lot of commitments this next month, so it's going to be hard to make the dinner in Florida, but I hope to go to Paris soon, Craig. Thank you. Novak's a little more serious, right?
So, yeah, we crack ourselves up. Sorry about
talent
that.
there, AJ.
Oh, no. Yeah, I mean, he's got a couple more.
You're quite well-rounded.
Round is the word.
That's round. I'm round over here. A little bit round over here, too, yeah.
I mean, your pronunciation sounds pretty good. I mean, it's not easy to get the R's and the vowels, to really pronounce them well. So nice job.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot coming from you. Thank you.
East Coast, West Coast in the U.S. East Coast, West Coast in the U.S.
I like them both.
No, come on.
I definitely like California to go visit.
Oh, yeah.
And there's so many places that I still want to check out on the west side. I've seen a lot on the east side. Still plenty of places that I want to see. I love to travel. So, I don't know if I could pick one. I would love to experience the west side, like live there for a few months and see how it is. But right now I'm here. So.
Yeah.
It seems like I'm getting closer and closer to Europe.
To east, yeah. Hawaii, Texas, Florida.
Right.
Bermuda.
That's right.
Or something, Bahamas maybe. Right. And then Azores, and then actually Europe,
right.
Yeah. No, we want you hanging here. You stay here.
Mountains or beach? You like the mountains or the beach better?
Well, I'm going to be boring again with I like them both.
Yes.
But, I do like them both. I mean, I spent so much time by the beach, obviously in Hawaii and here, and I love it. But I also like my time in the mountains, especially when it's, like springtime, fall time. I'm not big into winter sports, so I haven't done a lot of that. But I find mountains and like waterfalls and lakes very peaceful and very, recharging. So it really depends, I think, on the time of the year and what my mood would be like, what I would be looking for.
Now, I'm going to divert off here because I did a little research on you. And you said that you like the beach somewhat, now, and you were in Hawaii. And I know that BYU Hawaii is fairly close to the Bonsai Pipeline, and you said you like to surf. Have you ever been to the Bonsai Pipeline and done any surfing there?
I did go there, but just to watch.
Really? You didn't get out there?
Yeah, I mean, I surfed, as a beginner. I was able to stand and take a couple waves, but I'm not any close to what someone that would ride on Bonsai Pipeline would be. I mean, those waves are huge and you need some skills. So I'm not the type that would just like venture myself to get injured and throw myself into, a place where I could not get out. So yeah, I took it as a progression, step by step.
Smart.
Now, speaking of somebody who takes risks, skydiving, hang gliding, wakeboarding, and parasailing also too. Now that seems like a very interesting career path. I don't know if Coach Porter knew about that, back in the day at BYU Hawaii. So when Coach Porter rewatches this, he's going to say, Ramona, I didn't know about those interests there, and if I would have known that, I might have, kept her, in the dorms at BYU Hawaii instead of going out there. So tell us about those kind of interests. I'm fascinated by that because I know you seem like a very put together person, but that's way off the rails, kind of, so to speak.
Well, I tried those things after I graduated. I think it was probably my mid-20s, late 20s. I do like adrenaline for sure.
Oh, wow.
I'm very intense and I like competition and a challenge. So the surf part was, like I said, I love to try it, but I would have not, thrown myself into such a dangerous place where there's such heavy waves. But with skydiving, I had a friend who did it in Houston, and she, talked me into it after like a year. Every day she would be like, you gotta go, come on, you gotta try it. So eventually I went and tried it, but I jumped with an instructor, so you're attached to that person, so he's the one controlling everything. It was a pretty unique experience. Then the hand gliding, I tried it in Brazil. And that was probably I would definitely do that one again. I don't know about the skydiving, but hang gliding was pretty impressive. We took off right outside of Rio in the forest.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, from that mountain, and then we landed on the beach on I think it was maybe Copacabana or another one that was right next to it. But it was just amazing. The view was just outstanding, and I would definitely do that one again.
Was that with an instructor? Was that one of the,
No, yeah, you have to jump with an instructor if you've never done it before. Yeah,
but the para sailing, did you do? I'm not parasailing, but the hang gliding, was hang gliding with an instructor? So what you're?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. Because by yourself, that would be probably a little tough.
Yeah, you have to understand how the wind goes. It's very dangerous. I would never even venture to try it on my own.
Wow. What about bungee jumping? Is that the next thing that you're going to do?
No, that's not really my thing.
Wait a minute. I mean, you've been skydiving.
It's all similar, and she's not into the bungee.
Right.
Yeah, no. I mean, with the bungee jumping, to me, it seems like there's more of not impact, but there's more of I don't know, intensity on the body, on your neck. I have issues with my neck. I don't want to try that. But skydiving, it's a free fall. So there's just air underneath you, and they twist you around, and then it's the parachute. So there's no. I didn't feel like it was a tough on my body or anything, but I would not do the bungee jumping.
They can hang you upside down where you go down, straight down, and you can touch. I've heard them. One of my friends said, do you want to touch the water, kind of deal, or not touch the water?
They can engineer.
Oh, yeah. And I was like, wow, no thanks. I'm usually pretty adventuresome, but I don't know about that. Because they hook you up, I think, to your ankles, basically, and you just go, whee, down.
Yeah, there's many different types. I think some of them, they even have like a thing around your waist, and they just drop you, and you could do it that way. But I cannot imagine the impact it has on your spine. I mean, I would not want to take those risks.
Ramona,
I've had so many injuries. I don't need any more.
I must tell you, I did the one. It's a body harness. And I feel like I grew an inch.
Did you really?
And I served bigger the next day. My shoulder was amazing. So you may have to go do this, Ramona.
I don't know.
So you went from 6'1" to 6'2"?
I think 6'0" to 6'1".
Oh,
maybe.
okay.
Maybe.
Yeah. All right, now we're going to work this back over to weather and that kind of thing. Favorite season? So are you a winter person? Because growing up in Romania, you probably had some winters over there. Spring, summer, fall. What's Ramona?
Well, when you live in a 4-season country, I think you like all of them. And, you obviously look forward to the summer, and the winter brings the snow. So there's like some excitement to all of it. But ever since I moved here, to be honest, I'm having a tough time with cold. I think I'm just not, like when you live there, you're like putting on all these jackets, and you're kind of prepared. I think I'm just not prepared when it gets cold here, and I feel like I'm cold, but I think I'm just being not prepared or lazy. So I seem to be a little on the cold side, so I don't enjoy the cold that much. But that doesn't mean that if I wanted to go to like Colorado or Utah, I wouldn't enjoy the snow, because I probably would. I also like the spring and the fall. So I think each one, I enjoy it depending on, the season and what's going on in my life at that point. Yeah.
Yeah. What's your favorite holiday? Last question of the second set here.
Favorite holiday? Mm-hmm. I think Christmas. Yeah, Christmas. Either I used to be able to go see my family for Christmas, spend time with them. With COVID, it wasn't possible recently, but I'm sure I'll be able to do that. I think it's a special holiday, and I enjoy it.
Which city do your parents live in back in Romania?
It's a small city on the east side.
East, okay, so Black Sea area, like far east?
No, Constanța is more on the closer to the, it's by the Black Sea, and it's more down south. Yeah. We're higher on the east side.
I see.
of the holiday, I know you said Christmas. Are you more like a Hawaiian Christmas, which it doesn't celebrate the cold weather, embrace the cold weather, or are you more like the Romanian, where you have the snow and that type of scene? Are you more the warm weather Christmas, or the colder traditional, what we think of as Christmas, probably, in the States?
I think I would like them both. I think for Christmas, it's all about family and being with the people that you love. And I think regardless, wherever we would be, I would enjoy it either way. And I think I would like both to try the cold, which I've done many times, and then go and be, in a tank top and flip-flops on and go to the beach the next day. So, yeah, I think both of them would be wonderful. Just more time with family is always great.
The best.
I wonder if it's ever snowed in Orlando. Has it ever snowed in Orlando? Does it ever get?
I think bare,
Maybe?
on the surface side, just some
Little flakes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
but
just
not
started
a
thinking
lot.
that. Yeah. I didn't know if weather got down that far down south.
I don't think they need snow plows.
No.
Like here. Like we actually get snow sometimes up here.
Yeah.
So it's like when they say, oh my God, it snowed in Florida, it's flurries. It cannot be what we're getting.
All right, let's round this into the third set now. We're rounding the corner here, bringing it home. All right.
Okay.
I'm interested to see, what was your first racket growing up in Romania? What was your first racket? Did you have a Romanian racket, or did you have a traditional?
Was it
Wilson?
Was it graphite or metal, or it probably wasn't wood? You're not old enough to remember that one.
No, I think I had a wood racket first. At the very first, when I first had a racket in my hand, I think it was a wood racket.
Really?
Yeah, but I cannot remember the brand or anything. And then I think I had a Donai.
Oh,
really?
love Donne from Belgium. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Did you have the Borg model? The Donne Borg?
I can't remember. I'm trying to think if I have a picture, but I don't think I do. And I'm trying to think what colors it had. I think it was maybe like purple.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Silver and purple, maybe.
Okay.
So this must have been in the 90s. By then it was all graphite.
Right. Yeah,
but I do remember a purple Donne.
You do?
It was either Pro Cinetic or Pro One, one of those. I definitely love Donne. I still have a few.
Yeah.
Well, AJ seems to know his sticks. So.
Oh, yeah. No, he's got a bunch of them.
You're a geek with rackets, too. But
I just remember Donne Borg. I think I have one in the back there in the closet that we still have. Bjorn even signed it.
Yes.
But he signed all of them in production at that time. All right. What's your racket of choice today? I'm just interested.
Yeah, what do you get to use
playing
now?
with today?
Now?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Burn. Wilson Burn.
Wilson Burn.
Really? Interesting. Are you a larger head or
100 or which
108,
head?
105, 95?
I think it's 100. Yeah. I mean, I like, I hit the flat ball most of the time, but I also like to have control. So a combination of, spin and control, those have been my types of rackets in the past. I played with Babolat before and head as well. So yeah, I like both. I like to have good control as well before going big.
Indoor tennis, outdoor tennis, what do you like?
Well, because of my playing style, I obviously prefer a faster pace. So indoor is always great. Growing up, we didn't really have these types of facilities, so we would practice in the gyms. And whatever the gym of that school would have, that was the surface that we would play on. And I even played on like wood surface and all kinds of things. And the faster the better for me.
Wow.
Big serve, big forehand.
You're like this guy.
Point was over.
There we
Same,
go.
yeah.
Man, one shot, man. That's it. Let's hit it. Let's not extend these rallies out here.
Yeah, I've played on wood before, but I only like it when I'm serving. I don't want to return on that. That's rough.
Oh, I like it. That's chip, man.
Actually, I enjoy returning on fast
Really?
surfaces as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. I like the returns.
So speaking of kind of, this might happen on a wood surface. Most embarrassing moment in the great game. We call tennis the great game. So have you had an embarrassing moment? I've had several. that I can recall. And I've asked this question to several people also too. There's some funny stuff. Do you recall a situation or maybe playing that maybe was pretty funny or embarrassing?
Trying to think. I think, I don't know how funny it was, but it was pretty uncomfortable to me. I was actually at a tournament in Ukraine, in Odessa, and it was an ITF tournament, and red clay. And somehow I managed to fall every single match. And I hurt my knee, like I scratched my knee so bad that because, falling day after day just got worse every single time. So I actually made it to the finals. And by the time I got into the finals, like the wound was so big and, didn't look good. And every time I would sweat, it would bleed and it would like drip down my leg. And it was very uncomfortable because I would have to like clean it on changeover. And yeah, so they took these pictures of me. I ended up actually winning the tournament.
Yes.
Against a funny story, now that you ask, against one of the girls that was on the BYU team.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Teammate,
Yeah.
and you beat her in the final.
Yes, and I have these pictures from playing in that tournament, and they all have this major dripping of blood on my leg, and it just looks like I was a gladiator.
Yes.
She's tough. This lady's strong. I'm telling you.
She's solid, yes.
Solid as a rock right there,
Yeah.
man. You wouldn't get a fight with her,
No thanks.
Yeah.
And I think it took like 2 months for the wound to heal because it was so deep, and I don't know if it got infected or what, but it was like pretty deep, and the scar is even today, like it's pretty obvious. So.
Yeah.
It wasn't that funny, but it was uncomfortable and definitely memorable.
No, that's a great story. That's a really great
It's
story.
from falling and diving and
Yes. I can see it.
going for every
Actually,
ball.
it wasn't, because it wasn't like my style wasn't going long slices
No.
or anything. It was just, I think I just slipped somehow
I see.
every single time from moving and changing direction or something. I don't know.
Every match.
Yeah, that's a great story. Is that your favorite tournament then? What's your favorite tournament? Did this tournament in Odessa?
One of the favorites for sure. I think I was maybe 16 or so. And then I think that winning that tournament put me like 100 and something ITF. So it, bumped my ranking pretty good. And I felt good after that tournament. So yeah, it's definitely a good memory. Yeah.
If you could win a tournament, like a Grand Slam, which one would you want to win? What's your favorite Grand Slam, basically, I guess?
I mean, I would love to win either one,
Yeah.
really. But if I had to choose one, probably Roland Garros.
Interesting.
That was
on the clay.
That was the first Grand Slam venue that I visited when I was 8 years old.
Wow.
And yeah, my first trip internationally also. And I just have that big memory of, like, oh my gosh, this is like Roland Garros. It was, the dream of any tennis player is like, one day maybe I will get to the main draw and get to advance. And I think it's because it's so close to home and red clay. Yeah, that's probably that would be a top choice.
Awesome.
But I wouldn't be complaining if I had another chance now to play on any of them.
Favorite Romanian tennis players? Is it Virginia Ruzic? Maybe Monica Niculescu?
Maybe Ion Tiriac? Maybe Ilie Nastase?
Who's your favorite tennis player? We were just joking about it. It could be a Romanian.
I liked Irina Sporlea.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, a lot. She had the Steffi Graf style of play. And, when I was a junior, she was on the pro tour and, she was an inspiration to many of us. And yeah, it was funny because I played at the facility where she would train and, we would take pictures with her. And, as a junior, you always want to be like the older one. So, yeah, she was also a very nice person as well. So I would say that she was, she's probably one of my favorites. And now, you know, we have Simona and Gloria Tecco, who's also my generation.
Oh, amazing dubs player. Yeah, he's remarkable.
So very proud with what Romanian tennis has grown into, and you know, the opportunities that now the players have, which you know, maybe didn't exist in the past. And it's nice to see that all the hard work that they put in, it's now finally paying off, and there are opportunities for them because, you know, there's so much that goes into it, and it's nice to see that the work is paying off.
Who's your favorite non-Romanian tennis player?
Current or from the past?
Doesn't matter. Just who'd you like?
Aside Roger Federer, the legend.
Yeah, everybody likes the king. Yeah. Anybody else?
I mean, I like Roger for who he is, and you know, everything that he has brought to the game. I very much still enjoy watching him play. Hopefully he will return. But I also like Rafa. I like each one for certain things. Definitely like Rafa for his determination and, you know, that spirit that he has and the attitude that he brings on the court, whether he wins or loses. It doesn't seem to matter. You can never tell if he's winning or losing. Joe is, you know, has overcome so many different adversities and everything that he's been doing and making a difference on his own, in his own country and through his foundation. There's so many. I mean, on the women's side, I like Iga now. I think she's going to be the next, you know, wonder player on the female side. I mean, she's been winning, I think, 4 tournaments already. And she has such a, you know, humble attitude and just is in there for the right reason. She doesn't care about the, you know, the pictures and the fashion and all the popularity that comes with the results. I really respect that for her. Respect her for that, because she's also young and she seems like she's prioritizing the right things. And, you know, there's so much time for all the other rest. You know, it's your time to really focus on the game, and I really like her.
What about Nick Kyrgios? You like Nick Kyrgios?
I like certain things of his game. You know, I wouldn't say that he would be, when I say that I like a player, it's usually like a collection of things. It's his playing style, who he is on or who she is on the off the court, the things that they stand for. So, you know, some of the things that he does are a little different, and I think there's room for everybody. And I wouldn't say he's my primary choice, but I do enjoy his talent. He's very talented. The shots that he produces, he's so much fun to watch. And I think he's also going to eventually turn into a different person as he, you know, matures and has more experiences. And eventually I think we will see a different Nick, maybe in a few years.
Nick, would you like to play some mixed doubles with Ramona?
Mate, you call yourself a journalist, mate. Piss off. Next question. She's too good for me, mate. Yeah.
Sorry, we set you up on that. That's I couldn't resist. So I amuse us sometimes with voices, and you know, you probably like Andy Murray too, would you? Andy, would you like to play some mixed doubles with Ramona?
I mean, yeah, it's great. I haven't played lots of mixed doubles, but I'd be delighted, Ramona, if you'd like to partner at some local event.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good. I'm telling you, he's got a really wide range there. Yeah. Any superstitions or rituals? Did you have any superstitions or rituals that Coach Porter had to say, Ramona, don't be doing that. You know, don't be going back there and swinging that racket against the fence, or hitting your partner in the back with a serve or something like that to wake them up.
Yeah, that was definitely not a superstition. I mean, I think I had the typical superstitions that every tennis player has with, if you're going to a restaurant, going to the same table, sitting in the same chair, maybe on the way to a tour, like if we had to ride the car on the way to the facility, I would probably want to sit in the same place. All the stuff that's very common, nothing outrageous, I would say. But with time, I realized, actually, as I got older, sometimes I would try to do the opposite to see if I would actually lose just because of that.
I love it.
And it turned out that, it had zero impact on my end result. So I think eventually I got out of that on my own.
That's so smart. You did A/B testing on your own superstitions, and it worked.
Well, you didn't need to fall down every match in order to win the tournament, because that's a superstition, I think.
So
you did that
funny.
as a superstitious, right, kind of
Yeah,
deal.
maybe-
You need to fall down every match. Yeah.
Maybe on the unconscious level,
That's
maybe I
right.
did that and I don't know.
Yeah, that's great. Subconscious.
That's right. See, yeah, I was just thinking that right there. See, All right, last three questions, then we'll let you go. All right, what sport would you have played if it wasn't for the great game? What sport would you be involved with, probably, as a young Romanian player?
I like basketball, so I played a little bit. As a junior player, we focused a lot on complementary sports. So tennis was the primary sport, but focused on playing other sports to kind of give the conditioning, all the other components that I needed for keeping it fun and having more exposure to different sports. So basketball was one of my favorite ones, although I didn't enjoy the physical contact as much because it was such a big difference. But that's one that I would probably enjoy, and I enjoy watching it also. Volleyball, I would say also. I have some soccer skills a little bit. I like to play soccer too, and maybe track, like what do you call it? The fast sprint.
Oh yeah,
100-meter dash.
Yeah, I like those because it would be like fast, intense, and you're done.
You're tall too. I bet you'd go.
Yeah, I'm not that fast. I had to work hard to be fast, but I would enjoy it.
I can see her doing pole vault too.
Yeah.
Like a lot of them are built like you and getting up and over. Such a great discipline.
Yeah, I don't know
track and
about that
field.
one. I feel like that's a tough one.
She's the Usain
That
Bolt
would
of the
be a
national
tough
staff.
skill to master.
Well, first you do bungee jumping, then we'll go pole vault. This is very similar.
I've heard she's the Usain Bolt of the USPTA national staff. She can beat, easily beat Fred Viancos and John Embry, all those people in races down there. I hear they race all the time over to the national headquarters and at USTA.
I don't know about that.
Actually, Fred is still pretty quick.
Is he?
I don't know about John.
Do you ever hit with
Fred's
Fred?
not too bad.
Do you still play tennis with Fred? Does Fred get out and hit any balls with him?
Not as much. We used to get out there, play some doubles, but I think that, with the pandemic and everything, we just haven't been out there that much.
No.
But they're both great. I mean, John is an excellent player.
Yeah.
So is Fred. And I wish we would get out there more to play some doubles, but we just need to make the time.
Well, definitely tell them both we said hi. I know Fred always laughs because he when he talked to us, he remembered that I was the first person he's met as an adult who watched him play when he was on the tour.
Really?
I was in the crowd
Open,
watching him. Not at the Open, but WCT Tournament of Champions near the Open in Queens, New York. Yeah, right. Forest Hills. Yeah, West Side. Yeah. So I saw him play with Eric Carita in doubles.
That's right. That's right. I remember that.
And I still haven't talked to Carita about it. And I see Carita once a month. Yeah.
You remember Eric Carita, the big serving guy from the U.S.?
Yeah,
from Chicago.
Yeah. Chicago, and he played it here at SMU, too, in Dallas.
And he can sing falsetto. He's unbelievable. This guy that's a massive mountain of a person can sing falsetto.
He is a Necrezut singer, this guy.
Yes.
So good.
All right, last two questions.
Yeah.
Being involved with USPTA, basically it's involved in the great game. If you weren't involved in sport, let's say as you are right now heavily, what would you be doing right now?
Like not coaching any other sport?
Doesn't matter. You're involved in the great game and right now. So if you weren't involved in tennis or sports in general, let's say, what would you be doing, do you think?
I think if I wouldn't be involved in tennis, I would definitely be involved in a sport. I think I would help. I would try to help athletes with like their physical development. I actually enjoy that very much, just laying the foundation about, just athleticism in general. If not, because of all the injuries that I've had as a player and, the way I was built, and although I was pretty strong, from like naturally, I struggled with so many injuries. I always had issues with like rolling ankles. I had a knee surgery when I was like 16. I mean, I've had all the injuries, you name it, anything joint related, I had it. And that gave me an opportunity to like really want to learn about recovery and prevention. And I think if I wouldn't do that, I would probably be on either those kind of things. I very much enjoy that as well.
Still around the great game, or still kind of in some games, in some sport. That's interesting.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I cannot see myself do anything different. I mean, that's just not, I don't know if I would enjoy it as much. And of course, the mental side, which hopefully I'll continue and become the best that I can be in that area as well.
So I know you said your dad was involved in athletic. Was your mom? I'm curious right now, just to go down a different rabbit hole for a couple of seconds. Was your mom involved in any type of sport, or how did they meet? Just out of curiosity.
No, she wasn't involved in sports. She is a pharmacist, and she liked sports, but never really played them. And they met when they were younger, and they've been married for 50 years.
Wow.
So, I have a great model to follow. And, she's just been, supporting my dad when he was competing and then coaching. And then she traveled with me when I played. So she was around us and supporting us the best that she could, but she never played the sports. She just enjoyed watching it. And, never really got into the action of it. Just enjoyed it from the outside.
I was going to say, she took care of everybody's pain needs. As being a pharmacist, she could probably help your dad. Probably be a little less pain. In pain. So if he was wrestling a lot, sounds like he was in competing, I'm sure there were some opportunities for some medication, some slight medication that might.
It's wrestling is especially the Greco-Roman is the traditional type with no gear of protection of any kind. It's very tough on the body, and it's the trainings that they do are very I mean, you can't get to a high level without putting in that kind of work, and it obviously damages your body. So just like with any high performance sport, some of them are tougher on the body than others, and it's part of the journey.
Last question about your dad. What weight did he wrestle at? I'm curious about that also too. Because there's different weight classifications. Do you remember what was his?
68 kilograms.
Okay, what's that? AJ?
So that's 190, something like that. Okay. It's a fairly large guy, or 180, 180. No. Yeah, let's look it up. Let's look it up.
I can't do the math on that. So.
I mean, it's definitely under 200.
It's under 200. Okay.
Yeah.
So he's pretty strong.
It's 149.
Oh, that's smaller than I thought. Okay.
Okay. Wow. He must be strong.
But he had to drop weight in order to make that category. So he was coming from, like his regular weight would have probably been like 74, 75 kilograms, and he would have to drop weight to fit the 68 category every single time. And that's another, if you ask any wrestler or boxer that has to fit in, make a certain weight before every competition or before every match is, it's you're starving yourself, and then you have to fight, and it's very, very challenging. So, I think part of it where I kind of got this mentality of like there's no excuses. I mean, I used to say that like when you go in there and fight with those people, like there's the risk that you could die or they could get like really injured. In tennis, we're just like, I'm here and the opponent is over there. Like the only thing that can happen is either she can hit me with the ball by accident, or I would slide and fall. But
the skin knee
on the wrestling field, it's like It's tough. It's tough.
Yeah. With tennis, the worst thing you can get is a knee with blood dripping down it. That's you can't even catch COVID
Pretty
in
much.
tennis.
So no excuses there.
That's right.
So last question about your dad. Can he still fit in the 68 kilogram category?
No, not anymore. No, and he doesn't miss that either.
Yeah, I'm sure.
He's been eating too many desserts that Ramona's making. See, that's his daughter making all these desserts.
Love it.
Yeah. So, all right, last question. Here we go. Yeah. Last question, because we've kept you, almost 2 hours here.
That's right.
We always end with this question. This is the showstopper. All right. So, if you were the great commissioner of the great game, and great game being tennis that we all play and love, would you make any changes or, a change, or do you like the way it's set up? And it could be across any board. It could be professional, amateur, teaching, whatever. Just your thought on the great game, and do you like the way it sets up? Thoughts?
That's a really good question. I mean, I think I have more of a traditional background and mindset on certain things. So I'm okay with the rules and the discipline that comes with it. And I know some of the modern perspectives bring in so many different suggestions to, tweaking the tournaments and certain things. But I think for the most part, I would be okay with leaving it the way it is. But I would definitely invite the greater minds beyond, like on both sides, male and female pro players, and ask their opinion on what they think it needs to be done, because they're the ones that actually play it and go through any changes that we would make. And then I would go off that if I were to make a decision, because I think at the end of the day, the decisions that they're making are going to impact the players, and really the players should be the ones that have impact and input on what's being decided. So that would be my take on it.
That's fascinating, because we've never had that answered.
Yeah.
That's, get a think tank together with anybody who would want to show up, basically. Or would you limit to the number of people maybe to 10 men, 10 women, or 5 men, 5 women, or just say, all right, everybody come out. We're going to meet at 2:00 in Orlando at Ramona's house, have a couple of beverages, and sit around and talk tennis. What is there a limitation, do you think, or is just
Well, I mean, there's a player council, right? There's like a group of people that lead both sides, the male and female. And I would probably want to hear from those that are in charge. And if there's anybody else that wants to participate, I would definitely want to hear from them, because, you can't make decisions for somebody else that's going to have to go with it just because, and I think it needs to be like a collaborative effort. If the players are happy, then everybody's going to be happy, and the sponsors are going to be happy, and they're going to make their appearances. And I think I don't know. That's just how I see it. I think it needs to be a collaboration.
I like it.
Collaborative and convivial response there. I like it.
Very convivial.
Yeah.
Very convivial.
Yeah, that builds.
Have you ever heard that word convivial before?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
good. All right. So we didn't want to throw you a loop there, because that's the word of our show here lately is conviviality. We want to be convivial. That's friendly to those who don't know convivial, right? Is that way friendly?
Yeah, of course. And Craig will go, the over-under is usually 7 times using convivial on a show.
I already did a few posts with convivial.
Yeah, that's good.
I went way over the 7 mark. So
that's right.
I'm very convivial today.
Yeah, whoever picked the over, you have won tonight. You have won an ATN podcast hat.
Well, Ramona, we're going to let you go, because we know you probably have to get up and go to work. That slave driver, John Embry, and Fred Viancos are probably, going to just crack the whip and go, you got to be there. So, but we really appreciate your time. Thank you for coming out and being on the ATN podcast. We're grateful that we had the time to spend with you, and especially now that you're feeling better. I'm glad you're through that episode of the COVIDs, which I had myself. I think you never experienced it, unfortunately, haven't you?
I haven't had it,
or fortunately, I just say unfortunately.
Fortunately, or maybe it's unfortunate, who knows. But I know she is such a good talk show host, and she has shown tonight that she's a great talk show guest. So, Ramona, thank you so much. Well done tonight.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been a pleasure. And like I said at the beginning, it's it felt a little different to be on this side of the camera. So thank you for the opportunity. It was a lot of fun.
Wow. What a pleasure. We just enjoyed our time with you. Thank you so
goodness.
much.
Yeah, we had a great time. We got to know a lot more about you. I mean, I've known you for several years, but I didn't know a few of these things, especially I'm just fascinated by the fact that you fell on the court, a zillion times and you won the tournament on top of that. I mean,
so
that's just,
awesome.
But that's a ritual, she was just, subconsciously thinking, I got to fall down every time and I'm going to win this tournament if I do that, keep it going. So Ramona, have a great night down in Orlando. We look forward to catching you another time. And if you ever need anything, where can people find you again one more time?
Sure. So on our website, USPTA.com, under the national staff, or if they would like to email me directly at ramona.husaru@uspta.org. Always happy to chat and available to anyone that has questions.
Well,
so thank you. It's been a pleasure. Have a good night.
Well,
good night. Thanks, Ramona.
Thank you very much. We appreciate the time.
Thank you. Right. Take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
See you soon. Keep in touch. Well, what a delightful
nice,
wonderful guest. That was really fun, CB. Well done.
Oh, my God. Yeah,
very,
I was looking forward to that conversation for, a couple of months now.
Yeah, I'm very proud that you booked Ramona Husaru. That was really fun.
Oh, my goodness. So, all right, well, I guess we better cue the music, right?
Cue it up.
All right, here we go. The great James Scott Campbell right now. Everybody, thanks for listening to Season 1, Episode 115 of At the Net Podcast. That's hard to believe, isn't it? 115 right there in the can. Join us next week as we'll be talking with Dan Regan. Dan Regan. You remember Dan Regan, don't
Brit,
you?
yeah.
Yes, very British. He's like Margot Carter.
He is.
But only on the guy side.
He is.
He's with Red Van Lee Clothing, the new president of Red Van Lee Clothing on the tennis side. Also, Pello Pickleball. So we're going to be talking with Dan. He was the former director of tennis at Brook Hollow Country Club in the Dallas area. That's how we know him. And we booked him. So he's going to be with us next week, right?
That's right. Looking forward to it.
Also join us on Wednesday evening. We do just a little thing called tennis shorts, right?
We get to find out what's in Craig Bell's tennis shorts.
Always say not much.
Instagram, 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern, and that's At the Net Talk Show.
I think we have a special guest this Wednesday night also, too.
Correct.
Is it Lisa?
Pugliese Lacroix.
That's it, on Wednesday night. Yeah, we're going to be talking with her on our Graham page, right?
That's going to be a very busy day for Lisa because she's on with Ramona on a inclusive coaching webinar on Wednesday during the day. Then she joins us at night.
I know. It's going to be good.
Keeping that kid busy.
That's right.
Yeah,
she's great.
good.
So we're going to have a good show on Wednesday night. And lastly, be sure to like and follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and our other social media outlets. Plus, tell a friend or friends. We want everybody to be a nethead, right?
Yeah, like, share, subscribe. You know the drill.
And that's the tennis news as it seems to us. Good night, everybody, from Dallas, Texas.